Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Where's Fielder? He's gone to the dogs.
I should hear you good now.
All righty. Well, I tried to call you just a few minutes ago, and I didn't get you, and I thought, well, he's out there chasing around some skirt or something.
No, I went this morning. I went and got tires on my truck. I needed tires, and I got some that another guy had them on his, and they impressed me. And he told me what he paid for them, but I didn't get them where he got them. I got them from a dealer I deal with all the time. And so far, of course, all I did was drive home with them, but I sure like them.
Good. What kind of tires are those, Fred?
You never heard of them. I never heard of them. It's called Sumo. Oh, shit, I can't even pronounce it. But anyhow, I paid, I got a Toyota, and it's 245 16s, and I give about $780 for everything, but that's a lifetime warranty on all damages done to the tire.
Yeah, that's a good price. So, I just put tires on my truck, and they hit me harder than that.
Well, this same dealer, he talked me into 4 tires. He says his cousin used on his game warden vehicle. He's out in Colorado and swears by him. I give the most I ever give for tires. I give $900 and some dollars. I think $919. He said, Fred, they get 50,000 miles. I said, never. I said, I never got 40,000 out of any tire they make, and I've tried them all. Well, those there I got 25,000 out of, and they were the worst tires I ever had.
Well, now, are you running on rocks or stuff? How are you tearing tires up like that?
You know, I used to have a black man that hunted with me all the time. He's dead now. And he says one time, if I could get to that tree, that truck will be right underneath it. I ain't walking. And the black guy hunted with me quite a bit. And when we got done hunting, he says, on the way home, he says, you know, Fred, what do you do with your trucks when you're done? Do you trade them in or what? I said, yeah, usually. He said, I sure pity the man that ever gets a truck from you that you have.
Well, you buy them to use, don't you?
I told him they're to use and abuse. And my grandson went with me Saturday night. That's the first time he went with me in a couple years. He's 17. And I told him, there's an old road here. I said, it ain't a good road, but if we get way up there, we'll be right in the heart of good woods, and we should tree some coon here. We was at what they call predator hunt up here. And I went through some trees and knocked some over, and he's just shaking his head. He says, how long does the paint job last on your trucks? Well, if you ever seen one of my trucks, the first thing I do, even if they're brand new, I got a guy, I take him to his shop, and he sprays the whole thing with bed liner on the outside. Okay. Everybody sees, they can't believe it when they see my trucks. They said, why do you put that bed liner? I said, it lasts forever and the body don't rust or anything else. I've had 7 trucks I done it to, and at least 10 people up here did the same thing after they seen mine.
Yeah.
So And I'm that guy at that body shop. I'm his best customer comes in there because I either have it done to mine or it's somebody
Yeah.
else's.
Well, I guess back in the day that would have been a good idea. I know back in the mountains there when I was hunting with my dad when I was a young man and all, and you'd buy a new truck. Well, you kind of the first trip or two you'd kind of be careful with it, and then you'd say, "Well,
that wears off."
yeah," you say, "Well, I bought this to hunt out of, so heck with it,"
But
Yeah. Well, listen, how you been? Last time I talked with you, I looked at my roster or whatever here, and so I think it was maybe back in October was the last time we talked, and you said you'd had a few issues and stuff. Have you been feeling pretty good?
I've been in and out of the hospital, Steve. I never felt worse than I do lately. I get good days and bad. I've been in the hospital a couple times. I just went for a minor operation Tuesday. I went colonoscopy. I had
Yeah.
where they
Yeah.
go
Don't be
in,
too graphic now, because we're recording it.
I know. And then I got to go back next Wednesday for that one down the throat. They put a pipe down your throat.
Yeah.
I had that
And
done 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I got to get it done again. So,
Yeah, I had a couple episodes of that myself back over time. But
well, like I say, it ain't a nicer thing to do, but it's necessary. And I wanted to go. They had a predator hunt Saturday at Laurelville Coon and Squirrel Hunters Club. That's the closest club to me. It's only 14 miles away, and they get a good crowd at anything they do. And the predator hunt included coyotes, red fox, and gray fox, and coons. So anybody that bought an animal in got $50 automatically. If you have more weight to it, the more money you could win. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't go up. It was on Sunday, and that was my birthday, and the family threw a party for me, which
Happy birthday. How many now? How many?
88.
All right.
And
Double eights. That's
so
great.
I stayed home, but I sent my coon up with a friend of mine. He was going up there. Well, it didn't make the big grade, that's for sure. I think 16-pound won it. Our coon get bigger than that, but 16-pound with the winners we've had so far, most of them are denning up. The coon I killed, like I say, it was well furred. It wasn't rubbed or nothing. I thought it was nice shape other than not being big enough.
Yeah.
But I could have killed another one, but he didn't look any bigger than the first one I killed. So I left him go. That was our last night of season also. They brought in people that was up at that club told me they brought in over 70 coyotes, about 60 fox, and I forget how many coons. I think 35 coons were brought in. So
Where was this? Where was this?
Laurel Island Coon Hunters and Squirrel Hunters.
Yeah.
It's in Westmoreland County. It's only about 14 miles from where I live.
Oh,
so,
right. Yeah.
And
what did you happen to go? Go ahead.
Pardon me?
No, you go ahead. I'll.
It's a good club. They got a good membership. At one time I counted 61 people attending a meeting, and that's fantastic.
Awesome.
Anymore for a club to get that many coming to a meeting.
Well, listen, did you go over to the Mercer County show and all that they had here recently?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they had a pretty good turnout, had a big show over there and all, but I don't believe they had a hunt. Maybe they did. I don't know that.
There was one guy was telling me about another hunt. Now we got one in Pennsylvania that gets as high as 20,000 people from other states as well as Pennsylvania send their memberships in for the biggest coyote hunt probably in all the states there is. But there's another one. I don't know what they won up there this year, but they get over a couple hundred coyotes turned in. But there was another one here in Pennsylvania. My kid was telling me that the guy got $7,600 for first place. That's pretty darn good.
That's almost as lucrative as coon hunting. I see.
Yeah.
There.
But I've been coon hunting, but not like I used to. I'm going 2-3 times a week, but I no more than 5-6 nights a week. And we've had, lately, the weather was bad for a while, but it ain't too bad now. Snow's all gone, raining every day, though. And I may go tonight for a little while if it slows down on the rain. Well,
the temperature's been decent.
This past week it has.
Yeah.
It was 50 degrees Sunday, which was real good. But it's probably out there right now around 47, so it's getting better. My kid was down your way for 3 months fishing.
Yeah.
He's going to move down there. He's going to be a captain on a ocean down there. He goes to Key West catching all them yellowtail and all that.
Oh, yeah. Good for him.
He had to bring home 2 truckloads of fish. And I hate fish. I don't like fish at all. But
man. Well, my buddy up there, your neighbor, well, not close neighbor, but Randy Smith, we are always talking about him coming down here to go fishing, but he's been pretty busy and things going on, this and that. But yeah, I'm right here within 2.4 miles of the Gulf of America. Do you know where that is?
No, but I'll look it up when I'm done.
Trump changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, so that's what we call it now.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we got fishing here, and I've been I don't know, Fred. I can't make excuses, but I just don't have the gumption to get out there like I used to.
It's in the mind, but not in the body.
That's right. That is so right, and that's where I find myself so many times anymore. But I am doing a little bit of hunting. In fact, I'm supposed to go tomorrow night. Hopefully, I had a young fella that's contacted me and says he's got a hunting camp up north of me here about 100 miles and invited me up. And we were supposed to go last week, but his work got in the way, and so we're scheduled to go tomorrow night. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
The only good thing about Florida is that whether you can hunt when I can't hunt.
That's about it.
Gigi, Kerry Rooks calls me all the time, and he's telling me he's got the air condition on in the truck right now. He's going hunting.
Oh, yeah. Kerry's there around. Is he around Macon, Georgia?
Yeah, he's not far from there. He's not far from.
Yeah, he's been.
I think about 25 miles south of it.
Yeah,
where they make all the school buses, Fort Valley.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Fort Valley, Georgia. Yep. Right. Yeah, he's been in the game a long time. Kerry has had some good dogs over the years.
Oh yeah, he's had more than his share. I had a guy call me recently. He says. He wanted to know if I had a dog for sale. I said, I don't have anything right now. I says, you're in Georgia. I said, call Gary Rooks. He says he won't sell any. He gets them and he won't sell any. I said, well, that's his prerogative. But I says, he can't feed and hunt them all. So
I know. I'm still trying to hang in there. I've got a pup here, 7 months old. I've raised him in the house. Well, he was out of our stud dog up there in North Carolina, and I drove to South Carolina, got him, brought him down here, and wife was agreeable for me to get another dog if I'd let her raise him in the house. So that's what we've done. And he's getting at that stage right now, though.
What color?
He's a brindle colored dog. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And but
I got a brindle squirrel dog. I went and bought. I didn't even need it, but there's a guy only about 50 miles from me. I believe I bought a dog off him years ago, but I ain't sure. I know I've been down his house once before, and I heard that guy told me that he's not doing too well, heart problems, and he's going to sell his squirrel dog, the only one he had. I went down and looked at the dog. We went hunting for a while. The guy, he's in his 70s, and he showed me he had digitalis in a bottle in his pocket. He said, if I feel wrong, he said, I take one of these and helps me out. Well, he went up a hill and beat me. I didn't say a word. That teed me off that he beat me going up that hill. But I didn't say nothing. Dog treed squirrel, and I bought the dog, and she's brindle, got a little white on it, but she listens extra good, and that's a big selling point to me. I love them dogs that listen. And this one certainly listens better than 90% that I've owned.
Is she a mountain cur, you think?
Yeah, she's registered as, I didn't even look at her papers. So I glanced at mountain feist.
Feist. Okay.
But she's bigger than most feist.
Okay.
I'd say she's 30 pounds, but she listens good. And Zach Kane, who comes over here and hunts with me occasionally, he says, let me use her. I says, you can take her and hunt her. I said, I got to buy her for her, but I says, I was going to keep her, but you do more walking with a good squirrel dog than you do a coon dog, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And
I agree.
And I said, she'll wear you out. And I said, she goes hunting. And he says, I said, you get her killed, you pay for her. Otherwise, just put her back in the kennel. And he got some squirrel with her. And he's supposed to come over again and get her. Dog hauler's supposed to come here next week and pick her up and take her down south for me. And she's a pretty nice dog. I wish I was in better shape than what I am. But she'll wear you out. That's for sure.
Yeah, when we started the licensed squirrel hunts, like in PKC and UKC and all that, I found out real quick. Of course, I had hunted some with squirrel dogs, even hunted my dad's hounds on squirrels occasionally when I was a kid. But anyway, I found out that those squirrel dogs, man, will gut you, man. If they and especially in the hunts. Because, they only have to stay treed, I think it's like 2 minutes or something. Yeah, I may get some mail on that, but something like that. And so once the guy treats a dog, you're off to the races, to try to get to that dog. And they don't just stay under your feet, these dogs anymore.
The last one I had that was really good, I called her Rita. Tommy Gorman, Virginia, got her for me, told me where she was. I said, if she's that good, I said, get her for me. And he did, and I bought her. And she's definitely in the top 3 I ever had. But she did hunt wide. And that JJ that I always say good night to on the podcast, he had one I sold him. It's a good dog. He still got it. It's about 13 years old. I sold it to him when it was a year old, and it treed squirrel then. But JJ wasn't used to one going like Rita. And he says, I don't like that dog. She goes too far for me. She'd wear you out. I mean, as fast as you shot one, she'd be treating another one.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd like to get another one like her. But
Oh, yeah. Well, Fred, I know we can't just sit around and wish for bygone days, but I sure do wish I was a young man again. And know, we always say, and know what I know, but I don't know whether I'd be any smarter the second time around or not. But I sure do miss being able to just put a gun under my arm and hit the woods with a good dog, and didn't much matter what I was hunting, as long as I could hunt it with a dog,
It's hell to get old.
Well, it is, buddy. It is, but we got to just keep on plugging, We got to keep on keeping.
I got a woman that feeds coons all the time, right in her backyard. She thought they were coming from down over the hill by the river. I says, you got them empty houses down the road from you. I said, that's probably where they're living. Well, she makes them everything. She'll make them pancakes, everything. She says the coons like them. She's telling me different food. She's had 8 coming. Well, somebody in the road down there got disgusted with them coons coming all the time, and they hired a trapper to come in and catch. He caught about half of them, 4. Now she's got 4. She's almost in tears because she only got 4 to feed. But I call her up all the time. Especially if it snowed the night before. I says, any coon tracks? Is your food gone? She'll tell me, they ain't been here last night, so I know not to go that night. Or she'll tell me, they cleaned all the food. That's my coon barometer. And she'll tell me they cleaned all the food up last night. And so I know what the good nights are and so forth. But she's a character. She makes them more food than a soup kitchen. So,
oh man, down here, probably shouldn't even get into this, but down here we got quite a few in some areas now, not right where I live, but a lot of feral cats, wild cats.
She's got some down there at her place too.
Yeah, and the law down here is crazy. They say you can trap them, but you got to get them neutered and then turn them back loose. That's what the law is down here.
Well,
now,
there's a woman up here. Her elevator don't go to the top floor. But anyhow, she catches them at her own expense, puts traps out, puts feed out, and she's probably caught, I don't know, well over 100. She'll get them neutered at her own expense and take them out to a county park or something where picnickers are, where she thinks the cats will get a chance to get feed and turn them loose. She got caught at one of the parks, and they forbid her to ever come back in the park, even if she don't have a cat.
Well, I don't know what the statute of limitations is on this, and I don't recommend anybody go out there and do something that's going to get them a fine or get them a ticket or get them, cause them to lose their license or whatever. But we always figured that a cat was the worst predator of all.
They are.
And especially squirrels, birds, quail,
They're smarter than
grouse.
anything. And when it comes to that, they can fend for themselves. I had one living in the woods for 3 years where I cooned on a black cat. And it was there 3 years. And I figure if I ever tree it'll be done for.
He's going to cash in all 9 lives at one time.
Yep, but I never got lucky and treated. And the dog I had was a good dog. He was straight, but I figured he'd tree a cat. Finally, one night I did trim, and I didn't have a gun with me. And so he got to live. Now, I don't see him anymore, so I figure somebody got him or some darn thing. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen him in over a year, but he was there for 3 years that I know of.
Yeah, well, if people would, well, the neighbor came by yesterday. I was sitting on the patio back there, just kind of enjoying the sun and reading. And the neighbor from the back came over and said, "So and so has lost their cat. They let the door open, and the cat scooted out, and they're trying to find it. And it looks like this and that and all, and wanted to know if I'd seen it." And I said, "No." There's one black one that cruises our neighborhood here and sprays the bushes and stuff, and of course I hate that. But anyway, yeah, cat's pretty.
Here's something I never really knew. I was in the dog control business for 50-some years. Gary Hoffman, one of the guys that used to work for me, he's in business doing the same thing for himself. And he's probably going to surpass me as far as years in the business. He's probably already been in there 50 years.
Wow.
He told me he got a cat from a woman. She wanted to get rid of it, wanted to euthanize it and just get rid of it. She had it for 6 or 7 years. I don't know what Gary's telling me about. Gary took the cat home, which was 27 miles from where the woman lived, and transferred it out of the cage that he put it in to another cage that he was going to be able to move around in and euthanize it. The cat slipped by him and took off. Well, he knew it was useless to look for it or to try and find it. It was gone and out of sight. He never seen it within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
A week later, that woman calls and says, "I paid you to euthanize my cat and get rid of it. It's here on the porch." I didn't think cats had the ability to go back to their home like a dog. A dog will do it. We've all heard of that. But I never thought a cat would do it. And that surprised me when he told me that. It went across a river, too, 27 miles back to where it originally came
amazing?
from.
That's amazing.
So,
yeah, they got that homing instinct, something that we don't have in our dogs much anymore. But I told the story about the boy there in our home club that had a dog named Lead, and Lead be running a fox, and the night hunt cast would be over, and everybody's wanting to go home, and they'd say, "Junior, get that dog in here," and Junior he wouldn't call the dog like you and I would. He'd just speak about normal. "Yeah, Lead. Yeah, come here, Lead. Yeah." And he'd say, "Just leave him, boys. He'll be on the porch in the morning." And I guess basically anywhere around there in that county that they went hunting, old Lead would find his way back home.
I remember one like that he'd walk 10 miles to be back home, and he'd get home by himself, no problem at all.
Yeah. Well, times sure have changed for us, and you and I have seen, you more than me, have seen, this sport change so much over the years. What do you think, Fred? This is things that are coming to me, has been the most important innovation or change that we've seen in coon hunting in all the years we've been doing it?
Well, one of the things lately that I feel the youth ain't getting interested in coon hunting anymore. Not like they did. For a while there, it was pretty strong. And I'm not going by just what they get in entries for youth hunts and that. I know that's dropped, but every hunt's dropped as far as that goes. Yeah. And I don't know if that's going to fade out in time. I hope not. But I feel we got to get the youth more interested in hunting. It's either in them or it ain't in them. Not these ones that go 1 or 2 nights and say, "I'll see you tomorrow," but they never come back. Stuff like that. But that's one of the things. It just seems like the kids ain't interested in it anymore.
Well, you know what? And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I don't have any proof for this for sure, but I believe it. is that we don't have the mentors for the kids anymore, the people to show them how. A case in point, a fella, I knew of a pup for sale that was out of the stud dog that my partner Mark and I have. And I knew this was a real nice pup. But the young fella that bought the pup bought him with the idea that he was going to start coon hunting, okay, which is a mistake for a beginner to try to start off with a pup, I believe. I don't know how you feel about it.
The key thing to all of that, it's almost as hard finding a good hunting partner as it is a good coon dog.
Yeah, for sure.
You start looking for somebody who wants to go every night like you. Oh, I ain't going tonight. I ain't going tomorrow night. People lose interest, and for some reason, it's got to be in their heart to really say, boy, I love that coon hunt, and I'm going to go again. I can't wait till tomorrow night. And they ain't there to take the kids.
Well, it's kind of a ripple effect. Now, get this. This is kind of interesting to me. The fellow that bought the dog originally had intentions to go coon hunting, but he couldn't. He found, just like you're saying there, he couldn't get guys to take him. He couldn't get, to go out and try to take his pup with a trained dog or whatever. And so him being a novice himself and having a pup, that knew nothing, but had lots of natural...
Lost interest after 4 or 5 nights probably.
Okay, but now, so here we go. So he decides, and it's to his credit, he decides that he's not doing this pup justice. And so he wants to let the pup go. But he's determined in his mind that he doesn't want to let the pup go to anybody but an experienced hunter so that the pup will get the chance that he deserves.
Right.
And that's very admirable, I think. But along comes a guy that really wants the pup and really has a fire to go coon hunting, burning in his soul. But he can't get the pup because he's not experienced enough and doesn't meet the criteria of the original owner that he's going to know enough to be able. And that's all good. These guys are younger people, they're using their heads here, but it's almost a catch-22 there,
Right.
Do I let the pup go to another inexperienced hunter? And will he do right by the pup, or are we just going to do, is the pup going to get a double shot of I don't know what the word I want to use, but so you got those out there apparently that really want to hunt, but they can't for whatever reasons, and then you've got those that want to hunt, but they can't get the tools, or they can't get a nice pup or whatever, and then they become the prey of a dog trader or something like that,
And they go out and the dog messes up. They lose interest. They get disgusted and they quit too early. They got to realize that it takes a lot of work to get a pup doing from nothing to doing something. And most of them lose interest. They see a good dog one time, and he's clicking. Boy, he should. He's 5 years old. And but that puppy, 10 months old, is still learning a lot.
Absolutely. So, well, this pup, is 7 months old. Well, he's just a baby yet. And he's got little mates that have already treated coon on their own. Mm-hmm. But he just hasn't had the chance. He's been on the chain or in the pen or whatever the case may be.
Your buddy Randy sold a good one to that trooper friend of mine up here in Pennsylvania. He bought a puppy off of Randy. Oh, it's probably almost 2 years old now.
Yeah.
But it was a natural. It clicked right off the bat. He won 7 out of 8 hunts with it. So that's pretty darn good. And
Yeah, that is
he's got
excellent.
a good mouth. He goes hunting, nice tree dog. He's a nice dog. And he's a walker. I don't
Oh,
like
yeah.
walkers. I don't like walkers, but I like if I shut my eyes and think he's red, I like him.
There you go.
So
Well, yeah, and that's true. And we like what we like, Fred. For me, it's been the brindle dogs. And I still get that question. Steve, why did you settle on the brindle dog to be or the plot dog to be your choice? And I said, well, that was, it was in my genes practically.
yeah,
My dad had them, loved the breed, and that's all we had at home. So if I wanted to hunt, that's what I had to hunt. I don't think I'd have been brave enough to bring a walker dog and put it in my dad's pen.
well, when I first started, my dad owned a tavern for 38 years, a tavern restaurant combination in Duquesne, where I used to live.
That's where you get that good food. We call it up in Michigan that bar food, man.
And anyhow, two coon hunters used to come in there. They were roofers, but at lunchtime they'd always be at my dad's place, get a beer and a sandwich, and go back to work. And I heard them talk about coon dogs all the time. And I was only 8 years old. I pestered him, take me coon hunting. And they kept telling me they would. And they were originally from West Virginia, but moved up to Pennsylvania.
Good old boys.
Yeah, for work. They lived down in, I even went down to their old home place, rabbit hunting, when I was about 11 years old. The town begins with a B. It's a well-known town. I can't think of it.
Belair? No, that's Ohio.
No. This is right not far off of 79 going down south, about 150 miles south of Pittsburgh, or 125 from south of Pittsburgh.
Buchanan? No.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay.
So anyhow, they took me down there rabbit hunt when I got a little older. But anyhow, they finally took me coon hunt one night. They told me so many times I didn't believe nothing they told me. I went to the movies on Saturday night, watched Johnny Mac Brown, the cowboy, and that every Saturday night. They came in the movie theater and hollered Fred Moran. I thought, what the hell did I do now? So I got up and I walked to the back and I recognized them. And they said, you were supposed to go get ready and go coon hunt with you. I said, I forgot it. I said, you never come the other times. So I went home, changed clothes, and went with them. And they had two red dogs, King and Queen.
Oh,
and they got them from West Virginia when they lived down there and brought them up here.
We good old boys down there, we're not too creative. We kind of
Well, we went coon hunting. The first night, they treat a possum. Oh, I loved it. I thought that was it, man. I wanted that possum. I said, I'll get that possum out tree. No, we can't bother with that possum. They wouldn't do nothing. We didn't tree a coon the first night, but I was hooked right there. That possum got me interested. So the next Saturday night, we went again, and we got coon. And I was hooked. And I decided I had to have a dog. I could do this. I could walk to the woods. It was about a 3-mile walk from where I lived. But I figured I got to have a dog. I saved all my Christmas money, birthday money, and everything, and I got $50 scraped together. And some guy that used to come in a bar, he had beagles. And I says to him, Joe, is anybody around here sell coon dogs? And he gave me a guy's name that lived toward Pittsburgh, about 14 miles from me. And he says, this guy sells coon dogs and beagles and everything else. And I had his name and phone number, and I called him. I got some guy from the bar to take me out to his place. And he took me out there, and the guy he wouldn't even talk to me. He kept talking to that guy. He figured, what the hell's a kid 11 years old know about dogs and that? And the guy, he didn't know a thing about dogs. All he was a taxi cab driver. And he says, talk to the kid. He's one. He showed me a blue dog, and I thought they're so pretty with them specks on them. And
yeah.
he had a red dog there. He had a red dog, but I decided to try a blue dog. I thought, and I didn't know people lied. I thought everybody told the truth. And I bought that blue dog for $50.
Oh boy!
Oh, he was a peach, man. He'd run rabbits. I got so disgusted. I didn't have the gumption or the guts to shoot one like I would later on years for not doing right or being worthless. I give him to a buddy that went to school with me. He hunted a lot. I said, he'll run a rabbit, Pete. I said, you'll like him. Pete claims he run away, but I think Pete shot him. I don't know.
Oh, no.
So that was my first coon dog. And after that, I went back to red dogs.
Well, there's probably been more kids started out coon hunting with red dogs because of the book and the movie where the red fern grows.
There's no question that book hooks a lot on them. That's for sure.
Yeah. But, when I was a young man home from the Air Force and going to the hunts and getting active in the coon hunting scene there at home, there was a lot of good red dogs down in that country. And you and I probably talked about them before. But those Harper boys there, they bought, and Chick Scarborough, they bought some good red dogs and brought them in there.
I knew Chick. Chick.
Yeah. I started the other day, and I need to do this. If nothing more, just to say to these old boys that I remembered you, and you played a part in my life. I got to thinking about the coon hunters that there were in my area. Now, think about this, Fred. This is in southern West Virginia, in the coal mining country. It's straight up and straight down, and what's not straight up.
I told guys years ago I wouldn't hunt here for $100 a night.
I know it. And what's not straight up and down, they've dynamited it and pushed it over the side and made a shelf around the side of the mountain. And a cliff that we call a high wall. I mean, it was probably the worst hunting in the United States. And we had coon hunters, just tons of them. And I'm going to try to sit down and just make a list of all the coon hunters that I remember from back home when I was a kid growing up. And it's going to be a long, long list. But I don't know. There's still boys that hunt down there now, and they've got coon now that they didn't have before, But well, it's not real steep and rugged. Well, I imagine those hills are pretty steep where you live, aren't they?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We got our share of them too, but not like West Virginia. Yeah. I've hunted, I think, 41 states in Canada, and I've always said West Virginia's the roughest state there is to hunt in.
Yeah. Well, my dad, being a pipe fitter, worked all up and down the Ohio Valley. And when he would be up around Moundsville or Wheeling, West Virginia, he often commented about the hunts of those ridges were not as high to the top as what they were down home. But he said, man, those are some of the steepest steepest hillsides to try to get up and down that he had ever seen,
I used to go to night hunts a lot down Moundsville. They had a club down there. It was up on a hill by a big fire tire. And it was a good club. They always had a good turnout. And it wasn't too bad a hunting there. But a lot of them would drive 25 miles back to Pennsylvania line, hunt around Washington County. And because it was easier hunting and more coon and so forth. But I always liked that club. It was a good club.
Well, my dad had picture. Well, the first registered plot we had was named June, and he traded a .22 rifle for. But Dad would take his dogs with him when he'd go to the job, and he'd be away all week, sometimes 2 weeks before he'd come home. But he'd find a coon hunter in the area to keep the dog for him, and so he could hunt.
Right.
Well, he had this picture of old June on a tree, and I still got the picture. She was a beautiful, dark, real black plot. But he said he took that in Pennsylvania. Now, to me, a kid 10 years old and all, that sounded like a faraway place,
Yeah.
And you went hunting clear to Pennsylvania, But he talked about how the hunting was better over in Pennsylvania than it was in West Virginia. But
I hunted with a lot of guys down West Virginia. There used to be 2 of them come to our hunts up in Pennsylvania all the time. They were comical as heck, and they were a lot of fun. Me and Packy used to get on their case all the time, and would agitate them. And the one had a plot, the other one had a walker dog. They both were good dogs. I can't remember.
Was the guy from over that had the plot, would that have been Dusty Kiger?
No.
Oh, did you know Dusty?
I'd know the name if I heard it. They lived down near Sisterville.
Okay. There was a guy named Junior something that had plots up in that part of the country.
I'll tell you the plot man that used to come to all the hunts. He'd come with a truck with 7-8 dogs in it and 7-8 handlers. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
From Barnesville, Ohio.
Yeah. Wayne Jeffers.
Yep, he was a good guy.
One of the best. One of the best. I always loved to talk to Wayne. He was just great. And I've hunted with Wayne. I've been to his house and hunted with him, and had a place he went called Cat Hollow. And he'd put about 7 or 8 of those plots in the back of that International Harvard travel. Yeah. And boy, I mean, here we go. And he dumped the whole tailgate, in here. But he told the story. Yeah, go ahead.
He fenced an area in over at his place and put hogs in there and had wild hog hunts.
Oh,
my kid and his buddies went over there.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
They became such good customers that he'd leave the key above the window sill for him and said, "You know where the key is, help yourselves."
He used to laugh about my dad. He said one time Dad came over and hunted with him, and they stayed out pretty late, and Dad was living, I guess, over in Moundsville at that time. I mean, that was his week-long he'd just rent a room or something for the week, And he said, we were remodeling the kitchen. And he said, we had cupboards sitting around everywhere. And he said, there was your dad sleeping there on the floor among all those cupboards. He said, I always remember that. And one other quick story, he said one night it was really, really bad cold and snow and blizzard conditions. And my dad called him, and they chatted a while, and my dad said, "Well, Wayne, I'd kind of really like to go see if we could tree one tonight." And Wayne told him, said, "Well, when I get through with the chores, he was a dairy farmer, and that was his day job. I don't know if he was still farming when he had the hog operation or not, but." He said, when I get through with my chores and all, we'll go. And my dad started laughing. He said, man, I would ask anybody to go out on a night like this. But he was a great guy, one of the really, really good guys.
I had another old timer. He wrote me a letter. He heard about me, I guess, through the magazines, and he wanted to meet me. He had a red dog, and he wanted me to see his red dog. He lived in what was called Beach Bottoms, West Virginia. That's way up in the Panhandle.
Okay.
And I wasn't doing nothing. I looked it up on the map. I figured that ain't no far piece. It's less than 100 miles. So I wrote him a letter back and told him I'll come down this weekend. And me and a neighbor boy went down there and coon hunted. He had a little gas station. That's where he made his money. He had a Studebaker car cut down in the back. It was a pickup bed. And that was his hunting vehicle. Well, first of all, he says, I better check the oil in this. He put the oil, he wasn't paying attention. He put the oil in the radiator.
Oh, no.
I said, man, we're in for a picnic here. He said, that won't hurt it none. And we went coon hunting. I don't even remember
you can
what
smoke
we did
them out.
or what we got or anything, but that was quite only a person from West Virginia do that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you could probably smoke them out with that rig if you could do like you're talking about, drive to the tree. Yeah,
I can't remember his name, but he was old when I went down there. I was only about 16, 17. He, I guess, was probably 50, 60 then.
Yeah.
And so I know he ain't around anymore, but he was quite a character.
Did you ever know Lester McElwee from over there around Cadiz, Ohio?
Yeah.
Black and tan guy.
Yeah, he was, I think, a bench show judge for a while.
Yeah. Good fella, really good fella. I drew out with him one night on
there's a lot of good people in the game, and like any game, there's some bad ones, but there was a lot of good ones.
Oh yeah, and some of these characters, I probably should have. Yeah, we had a little glitch right there, just a minute, but
you didn't pay your electric bill.
Must be something like that. But we were talking about some of the characters, that I experienced down through the years.
Pennsylvania's got more characters than 5 West Virginias, believe me.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. But some people are just, that personality's just bigger than life, and we certainly had a bunch of them in our club back there and all. But what's the first club you belonged to up there?
First club was a guy by the name of Dick Crowell from Prospect, Pennsylvania.
I met Dick.
He's the first man that ever started a coon club in Pennsylvania, to my knowledge. He called me up. He heard of me through the magazines and said, would you come to one of our hunts? At that time, it was Butler, Pennsylvania, where old Trump got shot at. And the actual town was Prospect, Pennsylvania, and they named the club Butler Coon and Fox Hunters. And they put on the first night hunts. When I went to it, the first night hunt, I didn't go to the very first one. He invited me up. I says, I'll be up. I went to the next one. It was in the month of March, and they had it at a pavilion out in a picnic area, and they had barrels, 55-gallon drums with fires in them. That's what kept you warm. And it was snow on the ground. It was cold, but they had the night hunt, and they had a good crowd for the first one.
How about that?
And Vinny Orlando came all the way down from Connecticut, him and 2 of his buddies. And I went on his cast. I wanted to see his dogs.
He was a blue dog man, wasn't he?
Right, because we corresponded through the years, and I wanted to see his blue dog. Well, one of his buddies, they drew out. They came down together, and they all drew out together, plus the 4th guy from local. And one of the guys from Connecticut won. I know it wasn't Vinny. I think it was a guy named Carl Calkins. And he used to have red dogs, but he had I forget what kind of dog he had that night. But we had a fair hunt. We treated coon or 2 out in the snow. And the next one, I decided to go and take a dog and see what I could do. I thought, this ain't And then nothing to this. I placed a dog. I called him Chief, and I had a couple dogs named Chief, but I placed him, I think, fifth place that night. So I was hooked. I started going to him and then looking for a better dog to beat everybody else. Like always got to get one better. Always got to get one better.
Sure. That's what's kept the sport alive all these years.
But that was the first club. The second club in Pennsylvania, in my opinion, was Washington, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And I belonged to it. It was closer to me and distance and that. And that was a good club. Grayson Paul, he's still living. He's same age as I am. I think we're about 2 months different. And he was a main go in that club the first 5 or 6 years. And he kept everything humming. And the club's still in business. It ain't as strong as it once was, but it's still going.
Yeah, I remember that club well. Now, isn't that where Tom Strang is from down there?
Yeah, Tom only lived about 10 miles from where they had a hell of a deal. They got a fairgrounds to use for their meetings at $5. Whatever day they wanted to use it only cost them $5, and if they put a night on, it only cost them $10. If they used their brain, it'd still be at that fairgrounds.
Yeah, I imagine so. But that's right down near the West Virginia border. That's down real far down in Pennsylvania, isn't it? To the south. Sounds like. I get all these calls coming in on my phone, wanting to sell me something. So they don't know that I'm a retired coon hunter.
Just so it ain't a coffin.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's funny. That's the first job I had when I got home from the military, was working for a company selling cemetery property, but we won't go into that. We used to say, we'll be the last one to let you down.
Yeah.
Okay, what's out there in the kennel right now? You still got that red female?
One dog, a red female and a squirrel dog. That's it.
Yeah.
I almost bought a dog, and then the guy backed out and sold it, so that went down the tubes. But I want another dog, but I don't want a dog that I can't hunt. I don't want to look at it in the pen. I want to make sure I'm physically able to go. Yeah. Now, I got people who will go with me any night of the week if I call them, and they'll chase a dog. Them 2 women, if I tell them, here's a leash, Ace, go get him, I can sit at the truck and know she's going to come back with the dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it ain't the same. I want to be able to go myself too, and I do hunt a lot by myself. My kid gives me heck all the time. He hunting by myself. He says, "We'll never find you where you go." I said, "Well, then I'll disappear and it won't cost you nothing." So.
Well, I find that to be an issue. I've got a 7-month-old pup here, and he's lightly started. He always goes with the dogs, and he gets off on his own, and he did tree a coon out in Arkansas. And so he's a real bright prospect. But, at his stage now, I want to hunt him by himself. I want to just take him out there.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
And I really, at my age, just what you're talking about, Fred, down here it's a little different. We've got these big wildlife management areas, very little private land that we can hunt on. And so I do have one fellow that I go with on a ranch that, and he's my friend Gordy. He's great about going to the dogs if I can't get there and all. But, if you're going to start a young dog, you need to be able to solo that dog out, I believe, and build confidence in that dog and let him learn.
Definitely. Yeah. Once they start treating one by themselves, then start pouring it on them.
Yep.
The last good one I had was a Homer dog that I raised. and he was out of my dogs. I owned his dad, I owned his mother, and anyhow, I got him killed in the night hunt out in Ohio, and that was a dumb move. We went to a place, and that night, the guy that I know that took me. Well, we lost the dogs. He got out of the hall and went up across the road, and mine got hit by a car, and we found him there laying there. The next night, they went back to the same woods and lost Dwayne Bruff's Grand Night Champion female. Same thing.
Oh, my God.
That was smart of that guy to
that.
do that.
Really. I don't... So, that guide situation, and I could do a whole podcast on that. But a guide's got a lot of responsibility, Now, with things being as they are now, usually the hunting guides, are the ones that you want to use because they know where the coons are.
Right.
They want to win that cast as much as anybody else. So that always, especially like in PKC,
naturally they go to the best woods they know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think a guy's likely to take his own dog in a place where he thinks he might get killed. So we always emphasized, a safe place where you can turn these dogs loose for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it is. But man, you got to use your head about those things. But even at the best you do, sometimes on that lonely road that there's never any traffic, that's the one that gets them, So it's kind of.
I had a guy tell me from Ohio one night. He says, "You know what, Fred? I went hunting not far from home." He says, "We have some traffic, but I figured 2:00 in the morning, who's going to be around? Yeah. I'm the only one out there." He says, nobody else is around. One car comes down that road all night and got my dog.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes.
I know. It's almost like it's somebody's, calling the shots or something, like a video game. Here comes a car. Let's put this dog right where he can, get hit. It's crazy. And that's probably been the biggest heartbreaker in the sport of coon hunting. And
been a lot of good dogs hit by cars that would have went to the top. Yeah, and some of them were at the top when they got it. So,
well, anybody that's hunted as long as we have, Fred, is going to see that, and I've seen it several times over the years. I remember it happening when I was just a kid to my dad's good dog. And then, later on, hunting with guys in Michigan 2 or 3 different times, on night hunts and all, we got dogs killed on the road.
Yeah.
And I had one killed, and my friend, well, on and on. But it's just very dangerous out there, and that's why when you pay a lot of money for one, it's... you got to understand that you're taking a big risk,
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, are you going to get out there tonight, you think?
I'll tell you what, the sun just came out and it was raining all day. It's looking good here right now. I probably will go.
Yeah.
I'll call Blondie and see if she wants to go for a couple hours. And like I say, I feel fair, but I ain't feel like I want to feel. But
well, let me say this: I'm encouraged by having this conversation with you to see how strong your voice is and your that fire's still there and all.
Yeah,
and
Carrie Rook, she told me I'm going to live to 100. I said, I wish the hell you felt like I did. You'd say a different tune.
Well, that's true. And I guess I had a little, of course, I hunted. I always hunted and ran those hills with my dad and bear hunted, pretty rough, and hunted out in West Texas and hunted all over the country, and could go with anybody back in the day, But now, the legs are just not there anymore.
No.
That's my biggest problem.
That morning squirrel hunting a couple weeks ago when I tried that dog, And that guy, I don't know how old he is, but he was definitely in his 70s. And he went up that hill pretty darn good. And I thought, man, I
Yeah.
used to do that. And
Yeah.
and I always said I'd lead where others follow, but right there it was the opposite way around.
Oh,
And
yeah. I used to
so,
like when I'd go on a night hunt in Michigan and hunt one of those big flat areas up there and woodlots here and there and all. And
the good thing about Michigan, you see 10 coon before you get to the woods.
Yeah. I know. I think
they got a lot of coon.
We treed 9 singles one night on a 1 hour PKC hunt. Of course, the dogs weren't together. You know, they were splitting up and all. But I used to like to look back over my shoulder and see those lights strung out like street lights way back there, guys behind me trying to keep up with me going back to the truck, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't walk like that when we were together as a cast,
right.
but no, those days. But if I had some hunting like that,
you had a heaven there on earth when you coon out in Michigan.
I did. I didn't realize it when I went there. I knew the coon hunting was good, and that was part of my decision to take the job at UKC. Was because I knew the coon hunting was good, but I really had I had been up there. I had been up to Marcellus for plot days,
right.
but we had gotten in a lot of water, and there's some swamps in Michigan. And
there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and no, I had no idea how much fun I was going to have in those 22 years.
People ask me all the time, "What's the best state you ever hunted in the wars and so forth?" I always thought for most coon, Michigan and Iowa. I thought those two were two of the better ones. Iowa, me and Chilser, when he was living, we was up there for a Redbone Day at Kirksville, Missouri, and a guy came all the way to Pennsylvania and bred a female to my old magic dog. Oh heck, it was in the 60s or 50s, one of the two, the 60s, and he was there at that hunt. So he said, "You want to go up my place? I'll take you coon hunting tonight." I said, "Yeah, we ain't doing that." That was on like Thursday night or Wednesday night, I forget. We went up there, and I think we saw 21 coon in 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
That was like paradise.
I've heard the guys in Michigan talk a lot about going over into southern Ontario and really getting into a lot of coon over there. Lots and lots of. Hey, I'll tell you a place. We were talking earlier about West Virginia and along that river and all that. When I lived for a year in St. Clairsville, Ohio, which is just you know where St. Clairsville is?
Yeah, it's only 75 miles away.
All right. Well, let me tell you this. At that time, I mentioned earlier that I worked for that company that had cemeteries. They transferred me up there, made me a manager of a new project they had to build a mausoleum and get that thing all sold.
I know a lot of coon hunters in St. Clairsville.
Yeah, there used to be a guy named...
Coburn?
No. Did you ever know a guy named Dale Yoho?
Yeah. I think he's dead now.
Yeah, probably is.
He had the state record for biggest catfish ever caught.
Is that right? Well, he was just south of St. Clairsville, I think down by Belair there somewhere. Now, most people would call that Bel Air, but over there they call it Blair, but right along the river. No, he was, let's see, what was that little town? Bannock? Was it Bannock? No.
Yeah, there's a Bannock. That's where the Black and Tan Man lived. He's used to advertise an outdoor life and that.
Oh yeah. That's right. He had those long-eared black and tans.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me tell you about this one little place. This fellow that was the sexton or the groundskeeper at that cemetery where I worked, his name was Don Baker, and I imagine Don's probably gone on now. But he was a pleasure coon hunter. and he had a high tan, black and tan colored dog. Looked more like a Walker, really, but it didn't have a very little white on it. And old Buster. And Don would hunt when the kill season came in. If it climbed, it died. I mean, he was a fur hunter. But we hunted at a little old town there. It's down under where the WWVA radio tower is over there. It's called Barton, Ohio. And it's just little old steep hollows and little old windy roads around. More coon than you could shake a stick at. I mean, that place was loaded with coon. And this was back in the mid-'70s. And I remember that one year, I think
You ever hear of a guy over there named Bill Argoni?
No, I did not.
I'm going to ask him if he ever heard of Barton, Ohio, because he lives close to that.
Yeah, there was one night we went over to a place called Adena, Ohio. And this guy had some blue tick colored dogs. And back in those days, I had a Ford pickup, and I had my dog box pushed all the way against the cab, and I had a bunk on top of the dog box, so I could stay right. I had a camper shell over it, and I was up there loading. We went over there to go hunting with him, and I was loading dogs in that box. He handed one up. He said, "This is my old dog," and I put him in the box. And he said, "This is my pup," and I put him in the box. Well, we went out there and we got the dogs loose, and all night it was, "That's the old dog, that's the pup, that's the old dog, that's the pup." I said, "Well, just how old is that pup of yours?" "He'll be 5 in his birthday," he says. That was the pup. But good times up there. Good times.
Different way of aging them.
Yeah, really. But no, that whole area had, I think that one year I had that Fancy female, a plot female. That was her first full year of hunting. And I think we killed 90 coon.
There's a lot of coon hunters in that area where you talk about. I've sold quite a few dogs over there. Jim Thoburn is a big hunter over there. Well, he don't hunt much anymore. They tell me he's getting fat. He can't move.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, they hunted up there around that Tappan Lake. Was a big area to hunt up there. Yeah. It was a game area. I think it was public land. Excuse me. Yeah. Well, we could talk about old times for a long time, I guess, Fred. It's sure good to be able to talk to you again. What's plans for you going to any hunts this spring? Are you going turkey hunting or what?
No, I don't bother turkey. I think they're the dumbest bird there is, and my kid thinks they're so smart. And he used to be a turkey hunter. He killed one with 3 beards and got it mounted. And Packy told me, he said, "How much you pay to get that mounted?" And I think my kid told me $350 or something at that time. Packy said, "I could buy a lot of butterballs and Giant Eagle for that price."
That sounds like our friend Larry Packy. Oh boy, we need to just have an episode of telling Larry Packy stories.
Oh, I could. The one about the time he was with me and got hit by a truck. Oh, I'll tell you what.
I think you may have told me that, but that's a great story. Tell me that one again.
Well, we were coming back from a night hunt in Ohio, and I got a flat tire. Well, if you know Packy, he wasn't too good at work of any kind. That was a sin to him. But anyhow, so I knew I was stuck changing that tire. The only thing he was good for was holding a flashlight.
Let me stop Let me stop real quick and tell people who Larry Packy was if we didn't listen to previous podcasts. Larry was a coon hunter from Wayno, Pennsylvania, right? Wayno. Wyano, right?
Right.
And he was a field rep for UKC, and a good one, a good
I got
guy.
him that job. Fred Miller called me, asked me if I wanted to be a field rep. I says, I make enough enemies as it is without getting into that. I said, but I got a guy that would be the best you'll ever have.
Yeah.
He says, who is he? He never heard of him.
Yeah.
I says, he's the first man at a night hunt and the last one to leave. He knows every rule there is, frontwards, backwards, inside out. And I said, he knows his stuff. I said, now he's a little rough around the edges, but I guarantee you, he'll never get you in trouble. And Fred hired him, and Fred later told me at a hunt, I run into him, and he said, you know what, you recommend Packy? He said, you were 100% right. He says, he's a good one.
Absolutely. Big guy. I don't know what Packy would weigh, but
about 350.
Yeah. Well, go ahead with your story about that flat tire.
We get this flat tire. I said, I got a flat coming up. So we pull over on the side of the road. And this was, I'm guessing, in the 60s. And we're jacking it up. And he's walking around and with a flashlight here and there. And a truck comes by. And at that time, they had them, if you know what they are, West Coast mirrors. They stuck out from your pickup a good 2 foot, like the big 18-wheelers have.
Yep.
Well, a coon hunter came by, and he dozed off. And the West Coast mirror stuck out long enough that Packy was bending over a little bit, holding the light, and it hit him right across the back. And he went flying forward in front of the truck of mine, and then went over the hill, rolled over the hill. And the first thought in my mind that went on after that, not did he get killed or anything, I thought, how the hell am I going to lift him to get him back up on the road? Me at 125 pounds at the time, and him 350. Well, the guy knew he hit him. He stopped a good ways down the road and backed up. And they were coon hunters. We all knew. It's just that they dozed off. Well, we got Packy back up on the road. And he kept brushing off. He says, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. But I knew he was hurting. Them guys helped me change that tire. We got on the road. I said, do you want me to stop at the hospital or something? No, I'll be all right. He came down 2 days later, and he took his shirt off. He did go to the hospital, and he took his shirt off. There wasn't one piece of skin you could see. It was nothing but a big bruise all across his back. I don't know how the hell he survived something like that. I mean, he was hurting for about 2 weeks before he was able to do anything. Of course, he liked that. He got off of work for a couple of weeks and got paid for it. But he was good at getting out of work. He used to take his dogs to work with him. He always he had 2 trucks that I know of, but he always had a car. And the dogs would be in the back seat. He'd put food there for them. He'd go to work. As soon as you get out of work in the wintertime, it's dark at 5 o'clock. He'd go straight hunting from there. That car would smell so good. Oh, man. With that people. Jack Knuckle, the veterinarian, when he vomits, you know it's bad. And Packy told me he dropped a bottle of fox urine in there. That wasn't fox urine. That was them dogs sitting in that car. And I doubt if he ever shoveled anything out of it.
Oh, Lordy. He was one of a kind and a guy that I really miss.
There was only one. They threw the mold away after that.
That's for sure. Fred, it's always great to talk to you, buddy, and we just got to do it more often. I say that every time. Well, tell your buddy there good night, and we'll wrap this one up for this time around, and we'll do it again soon.
Okay. Hey, JJ, keep your ears open. It's coming up. I'll see you.
Fred Moran, the Redbone Man, timeless for sure. 88 years old. Fred, you're amazing. We're so glad to have you on the podcast again. And I'll be calling you up, buddy. You take care
Thanks,
of yourself.
Steve.
All right.
Take care.
You bet.
We'll see you.
Friends, that is one of the greatest icons in our sport. Most everybody in the sport of coon hunting that has been around it for any length of time knows Fred Moran, the Redbone Man. Red dogs are always his chosen breed, and he's had some great ones. He just is timeless. I worry about him because of his age, but he's he's tough, and he is a coon hunter. If anyone asks you ever talk to a coon hunter, if you've talked to Fred Moran, you can tell them with certainty that you've talked to one of the best. Well, that's going to be our podcast for this week, folks. Thanks for tuning in again. I want to thank our friends at W Hunting Supply. It's kind of a sad farewell to our good friend Jason Doobie, but Jason's going into a new adventure with his family, and I'm so excited for him, and I would just wish the Doobies all the best. If you need anything in the way of hunting supplies for yourself or your dogs, W Hunting Supply, DUSupply.com. Also, Alpha Dog Nutrition, our sponsor. Their supplements will put your dog in the game and keep him there. And I also want to thank, as always, my good friend, Big Mark Zepp, Zepp Predator Calls. Always a strong supporter of this Gone to the Dogs podcast. Steve Fielder here, and I will say, as I have so many times before, if you're looking for me, someone asks you where I am, just tell them he's gone to the dogs.